Welcome to Classroom Conversations, where we dive into the world of education. I'm your host, Mrs. Jones, and I would like to take a moment to encourage our listeners to fill out the Google form located on our podcast document and request topics or items that are interesting to you. Let's get started today by exploring with Mrs. Smith. She's an innovative media specialist at Wahlberg Elementary School, where she has dedicated her career to fostering a love for reading amongst students. With a vibrant approach to teaching, Mrs. Smith engages students through various initiatives, including the Battle of Books, broadcast team, and the 5th grade safety patrol, along with helping with flag team. She's very busy. Her commitment to creating and interacting with students and creating that enjoyable environment for learning is evident in her dynamic book fairs, where she encourages students to pre-shop, explore the latest titles, ensuring they are excited about new reading opportunities. Ms. Smith continuously updates the library's collection, striving to keep it relevant and accurate for our students. Her passion for literature and education not only enhances the library experience, but also inspires young readers to discover the joy of books. Through her creative programs and dedication, Ms. Smith plays a pivotal role in enriching the academic journey of every student at Wahlberg Elementary. Welcome, Ms. Smith. We are so excited to have you today.
Thank you. Introduction. Thanks.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
You.
So let's jump in. I'm interested in hearing how you, as part of our enrichment team, encourage our K-5 learners. What types of books do you see students reading or gravitating towards? And do these books have benefit or hinder students from advancing in the next reading level?
Okay, so I love this question. Graphic novels, I feel like, have definitely taken over, and that's not a bad thing at all, but our kids are becoming very visual readers, so unless there's visually appealing pictures,
right,
they're less likely to pick it up. Even if the front cover doesn't attract them, they're such visual learners. So graphic novels have really taken over because there's just so much there for them to piece together in the pictures.
Sure.
So I will say graphic novels has definitely skyrocketed, I would say, in the past few years. I feel like it can hinder readers who are ready to take the next step to a more challenging traditional chapter book with less pictures, but as we'll get into the podcast, there's ways to bridge that gap. Graphic novels are great, but they are definitely popular in our library.
Yes. I have a 3rd grader, and he is all about the graphic novel. And as you're going to talk to in just a minute, sometimes they're ready to move on.
Yes.
So let's just dive into this graphic novel conversation and comparing them, to chapter books, their counterparts in terms of complexity and reading development. How do they compare?
Okay, that's a great question. So I get a lot of parents who don't like graphic novels and they want their kids to be reading traditional chapter books, and there's a time and a place for that, but I think graphic novels can be super complex as well because students who love and can fully comprehend a graphic novel in its entirety, they have to have the ability to use pictures to piece together what is missing in the text. So they have to create that story in their mind, and for them to be able to comprehend it fully as it's intended, it does take a higher level of thinking for them to piece together the things that are not explicitly laid out for them in the text. So as opposed to regular chapter books that tell them thoughts, personalities, feelings, like they describe the character in words, the reader of a graphic novel has to assume that or infer that through pictures.
Love the infer. We do a lot of inferring, especially as they get up into the upper grades. So which authors or series would you recommend for students transitioning from that graphic novel, picture book to chapter books?
Right. So in our library, students cannot check out graphic novels until 3rd grade. Because I want to expose them to quality beginning chapter books to capture that interest, because in kindergarten and 1st grade they can only check out everybody nonfiction or early nonfiction and picture books. So when they get to 2nd grade, it's a very exciting transition to move to the other side of the library where they know graphic novels are, but the fiction section in its entirety is not available to them.
Gotcha.
And that includes graphic novels. And I do that for a reason, because there's so many authors. There's classic authors like Anna M. Martin, there's Beverly Cleary, Barbara Park, Judy Blume, who write books for younger readers. I guess words per page, that
it's more appropriate.
It's more appropriate as far as the level of reading.
Sure.
But the classics with Judy Blume, Barbara Park, all them, their content is also appropriate for the upper grades.
Right.
So I do include them in the regular fiction section, but I introduce them to my second graders. But I really start them with the classic authors, Catherine Applegate, Peter Brown, those authors that don't include heavy chapters, that you can read a chapter or 18 in a small setting, so you get that accomplishment of reading a chapter book but not have a lot of words per page. My junior fiction books, or the chapter books that our second graders can look at, is very, very, very heavy, and I stock that on purpose, like Magic Treehouse, Geronimo Stilton, Judy B. Jones, Millie Bedelia, Dragon Masters, Dr. Kitty Cat, and publishers and authors are really diving into that junior fiction world,
right?
Because I think that they have seen the graphic novels taking over,
sure,
and they really want to capture the younger reader in a chapter book way. So these junior fiction books, they'll have pictures interspersed, but they're written more like a chapter book. So that's a great way to bridge the gap between picture books and being comfortable with seeing pictures on every single page with a little bit of words, and going into, I'm not ready for Harry Potter yet.
Right.
I'm not ready for a huge chapter book, so let me start early.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's great. No, and,
yeah.
and I love that you explained this reasoning behind it. And it's helpful for even our classroom teachers that may be listening to this that didn't realize that's how you lay that library out, to encourage that reading.
Yeah.
That reading. So how do you balance promoting graphic novels while also encouraging students to challenge themselves with more text-heavy books, when it's appropriate, of course?
Right, yes. So I know that our students love graphic novels, and I know that there are some librarians out there that don't stock Dogman, they don't stock graphic novels because they want their kids to read chapter books so much. I want our kids to want to come to our library. I want to give them what they love to read. So I do stock graphic novels. I'll buy the newest ones in the series that our kids love. But I do a lot of book talks with chapter books. So if I can grab their interest reading the first chapter, with my fifth graders, we read the first chapter of a chapter book at every media time.
Okay.
And that's my hook to get them interested.
Sure.
And sometimes it's a different book per class because the readers want to check the book out.
Right.
And I have a line of, I want to check that book out when you're done.
I love that.
And with one fifth grade class, they've asked me to keep on with the book. So it's become like my read aloud with them.
Right.
And I think that's really special because that's not happened yet. Like, I'll get people who want to check it out on their own, but this whole class is like, we've got to read this together.
Yeah.
So that's been exciting. But another thing that I like to do is, and then readers don't know this, or a lot of our kids did not know this, is that their favorite graphic novel series, more times than not, was first a chapter book series. So we did a lot of lessons with my fourth and fifth graders on, it was a chapter book first. Right. So Babysitter's Club.
Yes.
I Survived. Wings of Fire. A lot of their favorite ones that they flock to during checkout time, I gave them all the graphic novel versions, and I asked them what they all have in common besides being graphic novels. They had no clue. So they were like, hey, well, they're all graphic novels. We checked them all out. They're checked out a lot. Like, I don't know the connection besides that. And then we talked about, they were all first chapter books. And Babysitter's Club was a big one because our kids love Babysitter's Club. Yes. And that's been a classic that has transcended the ages.
Yes. I read that too.
I read the whole, my sister had the whole entire series. I read the whole, I read it all. And they showing them a side-by-side comparison of the classic chapter book front cover. Right. And the way that it's been adapted by different authors throughout the years. I'm like, if you want the true story of the Babysitter's Club as it's written for this title, it's here in the chapter book. And Babysitter's Club is one of those transition series that can bridge the gap between picture book and chapter book. It's not a heavy chapter book. It's very, very doable, especially if you have parental support. So Babysitter's Club is a great chapter book series to get into, especially for, those who are interested in the graphic novels.
Right.
If they want to challenge themselves to move on to a more challenging or traditional chapter book.
I love that you gave them the history on that, so that you're building that connection that, yes, you like the story, you like these characters, but you can take it a step further and read a little deeper.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What are some signs that indicate a student might be ready to move from graphic novels to a more traditional chapter book? What should be looking for as parents?
Well, if your kid can finish a graphic novel or say, I'm done in 30 minutes, in even 45 minutes, they're ready to move on.
Right.
Now, I will say, ask them questions, because again, understanding the chapter, understanding a graphic novel in full,
right?
Make sure they're not just like looking at the pictures and being done with it.
Sure.
But I'll have some third graders check out a book during our checkout time. At the very beginning, a lot of them go to the graphic novel section. They'll check it out at the very beginning of checkout time, and by the time that their class leaves, 10 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes later, they're like, I'm done. Because Dogman's a thicker chapter book, but maybe graphic novel. But we have some thinner graphic novels, and then they want to check out another one before their class even leaves, the library. So I would say that your child is confidently ready to move on if they can finish a graphic novel in a short amount of time and fully understand it.
Right.
So having those connections and conversations with your child, and giving them the confidence that they can do it, even if their reading ability is higher and that they can do something more challenging than an early chapter book.
Right.
Give them that confidence first. Read it together with them. Have it be a family thing before you just give a chapter book to them.
Right. So I can relate to that. My son, I said, was in 3rd grade, and he can finish the graphic novels in a day.
Yes.
At minimum. So I am transitioning him into reading more chapter books, and we started with Lawn Boy by
Gary Paulson.
Yes. So I started reading the first 3 chapters to him, and I stopped. And he's like, no, we have to keep going. We have to keep. I'm like, well, you're going to have to read it on your own, buddy. Right. So, like you're doing with them in class, you're hooking them, reading a few chapters with them. There are absolutely no pictures in there. And that was his first question. Where are the pictures?
Yes.
And it's a much smaller chapter book, too, but still has some high vocabulary in there. So, it's an interesting, and it's something you've got to push them. I guess why I wanted to tell that story. You've got to push them a little bit because they're naturally going to go to what they feel most comfortable with.
Right, and what catches their attention most. But even like I Survived. I Survived is it's like Babysitter's Club. It's a very doable chapter book.
Sure.
Because they're shorter. Wings of Fire is a little bit more advanced, but still doable with support. But just giving them that confidence.
Yes,
and giving them options. Like finding what they're interested in, like what are they gravitating toward in the graphic novel world, and finding, because I can guarantee you, if it's in a graphic novel, somewhere it is in a chapter book available.
Right.
That you can pick up and read.
Awesome. What role do you think librarians and teachers play in shaping students' reading lives and choices?
Oh, okay. And I say this confidently, but it is one of my greatest blessings to get to pass on my love of reading, not only to my personal child at home, that elevated it, but to our kids here at Wahlberg. So when I went to school, I'm kind of going off script here.
That's
but
okay.
It answers the question. When I went to school to be an elementary school teacher. So I have my license to teach K through 6. But while I was doing my student teaching, my mentor teacher asked me to lead a lunchtime book club for his struggling readers. And I was like, oh man, and I just felt so out of touch with what kids were reading. So I got there. I obviously asked them what they wanted to read for the lunchtime book club, but I felt like I was not doing my job if I had no clue what my kids were interested in or reading on their own time. So I went home, and on the way home, I'm like, I didn't like that feeling of being so a way, and even though I was in college, and it was totally understandable to
Sure.
not be in the elementary
Yes,
school.
you're not around
reading
kids
world.
24/7. Yeah,
Right. Like, I didn't have, I didn't have nieces and nephews at that time yet. Like, it was understandable, and looking back, I get that now. But it was like a fear of, oh my gosh, I don't want to be apart from kids' reading lives.
right.
Because I'm a reader. I want to get them to be readers. So on the way home, I'm like, I want to be a librarian.
Oh, wow.
I want to fuse my love of teaching and my love of reading into a dream job.
Right.
And I truly feel like that is such a great blessing for me, and I don't take it lightly. I think it's a very important job to be able to embrace where your child is at, no matter what level that they are on, and forming personal connections with them and teaching them ways to comprehend and infer and understand. So I think it's very, very important for a librarian to be involved in your child's reading life and be used as a resource, because that's our job,
right,
is to be knowledgeable on what your kids like to read and to care about that enough.
Yes.
Which
yes.
I try and do as best as I can.
Yes, and our classroom teachers are also kind of fostering that with having a read aloud book in their classroom that they're reading as a group. Several of our upper grades do book studies with students so that they can really understand the whole book and not just the components of it. So
yes. Teachers, classroom teachers, librarians, the adults in your child's educational life play a huge role, because they are the role models. Your child spends most of their day at school.
Yeah.
So if they need a positive reading role model, and teachers who read out loud, at the end of the day, any time that you can expose your child to reading, teachers have such an important job to do with that, because they capture, that's even if it's one kid that you can expose to reading and get them hooked onto a chapter book or hooked into reading, then you've done your job.
Yeah.
Because that is, but I will say, reading is very much a team sport. It's very much a team sport to students in the early stages. So if you're not there, parents, teachers, if adults are not there to coach and be on their team, then you can't be surprised when they don't show up to practice.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So
yeah, and just making it routine. I know my son, like I said earlier, loves to read, but that's his routine before bed.
Yeah.
His bedtime is 8. We start at 7 o'clock, shower, brush teeth, all the things. By 7:30, we're sitting in the bed reading.
Yeah.
And now that he's becoming more of an independent reader, I'm forcing him to just sit beside me and read his book while I read my book. And so, I get extra reading time, too, which is always good.
Which is great.
But it's, again, fostering. I'm still on his team. Like you said, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
But I am modeling for him what this looks like in this time frame.
Yeah. And I've also, on the parent side of it, I have learned the importance of rereading. I'm not a rereader.
Yeah.
I don't normally, I save my books that I really love and that have touched me and that have made an impact on me, but I don't reread.
Right.
And so becoming a parent has taught
Lots of rereading.
Me, well, and it has taught me the value of rereading.
Yeah.
Because even in, my son is 3, even with reading his books, I'll say, oh man, I didn't notice that. I've read this book so many times. I did not notice this detail of this picture, and we talk about that. So rereading has so much value, and I've learned that as a parent. So anytime that you can read books more than once, even 800 times,
yes, the
with
same
your kid,
10-page book 100 times,
something each time. So just
point out a different picture or something. Yeah.
Be there for your child, teachers as well.
For sure. Well, Ms. Smith, thank you so much. It's been a joy talking with you and getting to know more about your thought process and how you model for students and help them explore that love of reading. So in conclusion, guys, thank you for listening today, and thank you, Ms. Smith, for bridging the gap between learning in the classroom and at home. And until next time, keep growing and exploring.